I want to take this time to talk about three people. Admittedly, one of them isn't David Lynch, although of course he comes up in his relationship and views of these people. Those three people, David Bowie, Richard Pryor, and O.J. Simpson. Lost Highway opens and closes with two different versions of a song from Bowie's album Outside. Now, I can't claim to know anything about music. I predominantly listen to Billy Joel. But for my money, Outside is one of Bowie's best albums. It's brilliant, and the concept and style of it were inspired by Twin Peaks. The song appears in Lost Highway is called I'm Deranged, and it's from two perspectives of one person, the artist and the Minotaur, who also has a song which is wonderfully titled The Voyeur of Utter Destruction as Beauty. And these two personalities are looking at the two sides, art and murder, of what the album refers to as art ritual murder. The song makes references to Angel Man, named after an actual person who Bowie met whilst visiting art therapy sessions in a psychiatric clinic in Vienna, which he saw as the ultimate outsider art. One of the patients claimed to remember exactly which day he died on and became an angel, starting this entirely new life while still being able to remember the old one, giving himself the name Angel Man. Bowie said of the various characters in the fictional town in which Outside is set that each one of them represented a different part of himself, and he was known throughout his career, particularly in the 70s, with the likes of Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, the Thin White Duke, for diving into different characters and possible personifications of himself on stage. The songs on the album would also have something of different lives and personas, as while one would be used in a David Lynch film, a number of years later another would find a place in the SpongeBob musical on Broadway. And while the lyrics and meaning of I'm Deranged may be the main and likely only reason for its use in Lost Highway, I'm trying not to fall into the trap of overreaching or analysing or just looking too much into things just for the sake of an intro, although having mentioned the SpongeBob musical already, I think I may have done that. But still, the idea of Bowie's multiple personas kind of adds another layer to the song's use in the narrative, and again, this is a David Lynch film, so that may well have been the intention. Lynch and Bowie had a great admiration and respect for each other. They both commended the uniqueness of each other's work and found inspiration in it. Bowie particularly loved Eraserhead, and the pair would work together briefly with Bowie's appearance in Twin Peaks' Fire Walk With Me. And Lynch said about him, he said he was unique like Elvis. There's something about him that's so different from everyone else. He was such a good guy, so easy to talk to and regular. I just wish that he was still around and that I could work with him again. Which is similar to many of the sentiments that were said about Lynch when he passed away in January. It seems he viewed everyone as complex, layered human beings. He saw a regular person in these extraordinary, almost otherworldly people. He saw something extraordinary in regular, everyday people. And again, that kind of seems as if it goes without saying. That's just human beings, but it's something about the way that Lynch speaks about them. I think he's interested, or was interested, in people's minds and the way in which they viewed the world and their experiences impacted that. And that kind of brings me to Richard Pryor, because when I've watched Lost Highway in the past, there's always been a surprise when Richard Pryor crops up for his brief role, which would be his final film role as his multiple sclerosis would worsen over the years. But it's less a surprise that it's Richard Pryor in a dramatic role, and more that he's in a David Lynch film, but then again Billy Ray Cyrus in Mulholland Drive. And Lynch said that he cast Pryor, who wanted to be a part of the film, because he'd had such dark experiences in life, came out the other side and had a greatness in him, which he described as a beautiful wisdom of life. He said that this was after seeing Pryor on talk shows, and I think there's a chance that it also comes from having seen the semi-autobiographical film that he made about his life, Jojo Dancer, Your Life is Calling, which is one of the dramatic roles that I mentioned he took on. There's a sense that after his battle with addiction and the incident that led him to almost fatally catch fire, that he was in some way reborn. He talks about this. There's a wonderful interview on a show on PBS in America called Tony Brown's Journal that I think is available in full on YouTube. And he's very subdued and reflective about the movie business, what he wants to do in it, and how he views his life and place in the world. He says at one point, being an artist didn't save me from myself. No matter what you are or who you are or what you do, there's a you that you must deal with eventually. He'd add, it's awful easy to lead someone else's life. It always has been. And people find that the best way the rest of their lives, most people. He talks at the end of Jojo Dancer and in some of his post-addiction stand-up shows about how drugs and alcohol brought confidence and removed the feeling of being outside the creative worlds that he wanted to be a part of. That was until they turned him into a different person and took things away from him. Afterwards, when sober in a number of ways, the art and artist were much closer and shared. They came from somewhere more personal. And then we arrive, with no proper link, at O.J. Simpson, perhaps the biggest inspiration on the film, and in some ways, as fits a Mobius strip narrative, the film ends where the production kind of started. While the first third of the film apparently came to Lynch as a vision on the final day of filming Fire Walk With Me, and the phrase Dick Laurent is dead came through his intercom one night with him not knowing a Dick Laurent, much of where the narrative eventually goes came to mind during the lengthy O.J. Simpson trial, which, like most of America, he claims to have been obsessed with. Lynch said, "It struck me how someone could do murders and then go on living with themselves." He took the idea to Barry Gifford, who co-wrote the film and wrote the novel Wild at Heart was based on, and the pair discovered the term psychogenic fugue, now known as dissociative fugue, where, as Lynch put it, the mind tricks itself and you can either take on another identity or you do what you have to do to hide those things from yourself. While rare, such cases are often said to be caused by trauma. Gifford would describe the key moment things start to shift in the film and what follows as a panic attack. Yep. Simpson particularly comes to mind in the closing stages during the chaos, fear and panic which ensues in the growing noise, the split between the characters of Pete and Fred becoming more frantic, and I think having some callbacks to Blue Velvet, which was also paired with a Hitchcock film for this season. Vertigo was shown earlier before this screening this evening. When asked in an interview if duality plays a lot in his work, Lynch responded in his typical fashion of maintaining mystery by chuckling and simply responding, "Well, yeah. Duality. Yeah. And with those 5 words, 3 of which are the same, I think that's kind of the perfect way to go into Lost Highway. So thank you everyone so much for your time. Please sit back. I would say relax, but I've just talked about how the film is effectively a panic attack. And I hope you at least are able to enjoy Lost Highway.